Discover why industry leaders choose our cross-border payment solution on Ripple. I did see this one earlier, and if anything, this was posted today. So if you want something brand new, here you go. And it's Ripple's XRP. Cool stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and play this straight from Sideline Reporter, Crypto Mike Cornwell. Here we go.
Blockchain technology can appear complicated. I'm here to show you it's not. Hi, I'm Pega Sultani, and I'm the head of payments product at Ripple. So what I find fascinating is that trillions of dollars of value move across borders every year. By 2030, it's expected to reach 300 trillion. Despite this growth, global payments are often expensive, slow, prone to error. Fortunately, at Ripple, we're changing the way value moves around the world. We use blockchain technology and digital assets to enable faster, more affordable, and more transparent payments for both our customers and their customers. Here's how it works. Let's say a business wants to send pounds from the UK to the Philippines. First, they request an FX quote on pricing and foreign exchange. The business receives the quote, approves it, and then submits payment instructions. A digital asset acts as a bridge currency moving from the UK to the Philippines. It is then converted to local currency through Ripple's global partner network. The recipient then receives the exact amount quoted to them in Philippine pesos in real time. It's that simple. And when you're ready to scale to new corridors, Ripple's global payout network provides access to key markets and currencies, including many that were traditionally difficult to reach. You can start transacting within as little as 3 weeks, and your payments will settle in seconds, not days. The future of finance is here.
All right, very cool to share out with you guys, obviously. We're going to jump into this segment that we have, basically, here in a second. So let's pull this up. And basically speaking, here it is. Comes straight also from the official Ripple page. All right. That was pretty cool. It's about 2024 projections, or predictions, I should say. All right. Now, originally, this was posted on December 21st, but it's kind of like something that they recently pinned to their site. And I want to share this with you guys because a lot of you guys talk about predictions, not necessarily like price predictions, but yeah, worth pointing out nonetheless. 2024 predictions. This comes from Brendan Berry. He's the San Francisco head of payment product management over at Ripple. Previously had a position over at Amazon. Pretty impressive, right? He's head of payment products. Look what's mentioned. It says in this particular thread, if you want to call it that, or outline, utility boom. I like seeing this statement. I love how it's worded because we've been talking about utility runs for about a couple of years now. Some of you guys even before you even heard of me, right? Utility boom. In 2024, we expect that funding will rebound with a renewed focus on companies solving real-world problems and not centered purely around infrastructure. We're going beyond this and focusing on the utility behind the tech. So just because you see Ripple have a pullback, some people say a significant pullback back into the, the 50 to 55 cent range, some people look at that, it's like, oh, it's a bad thing. It's never going to do anything, It's so early. We're not to like the full implementation, and we don't even have proper regulations yet. You're really going to give up on this so soon? If that's you, you got to do what you got to do. For me, there is no way I'm going to give into any FUD when it comes to Ripple XRP. So, yes, I would agree with this for a second. There's recently been a major resurgence in payments with crypto's democratization of finance front and center. While many have previously focused on the speculative, users are now moving back to the tried and true baseline use case. Right, payments. There's more to it than this. This is pretty impressive. There's only like 2 or 3 more. Straight from Ripple. Closing in on traditional fintech. 2023 saw increased interest in crypto from fintech companies, according to Ripple's 2023 new value report. 3/4 of institutions, or financial institutions, I should say, are likely to explore digital assets, asset services in the next 3 years, especially for cross-border payments. Yeah, you might get tired of that term cross-border payments, but in reality, yeah, it's going to get mentioned all the time, and that's going to be one of the main focus, if not the main focus for Ripple. Let's be honest. We understand that the XRPL is so much more than just cross-border payments, and I get that. But in 2024, they anticipate, as in Ripple, an increase in fintech plus crypto partnerships to close the gap between emerging and existing financial technologies to resolve legacy pain points. I like how they worded that as well. Fintechs must adopt blockchain and crypto to be successful in the year ahead, and we expect to see greater collaboration among fintechs, crypto companies to keep up with the pace of innovation. Right, collaborating with some of these ones before the whole thing of proper regulations comes into play, because why hop on board after, like things really have taken off, if anything? I mean, we talk about supply and demand. It's not just for us, it's also for big businesses. This is their opportunity to get into this long before things start popping off, because if anything, don't you want to save a lot of money? Don't you want to get in with the end before it's too late? That's the way I'd be strategically positioning myself, but to each his own. This part is really good because we also been talking about stable coins for the longest time. Let's face it, the World Bank in their brochure has officially recognized Ripple's XRP and Stellar's XLM as global stablecoins. Now, if you're a newcomer, that sounds crazy, right? But we're not talking about paid at a $1 evaluation. We're talking about as a stable store of, or stable value, right? Not store of value. Stable coins, like it says, dominate outside the US, while USD-backed stablecoins have largely been leaders in the market to date. According to Chain Analysis, which is this right here, building trust on blockchains among people, right? 57,000 followers, businesses, governments, their crypto compliance and investigation software empowers hundreds of top institutions. So why would a software company that empowers top institutions, right, bet on this horse, Ripple's XRP, if it was a nothing burger? Right? They're not going to do that, because if anything, they understand the greater picture. So Chain Analysis research, the majority of stablecoin inflows to the 50 biggest cryptocurrency services that have shifted from US licensed services to non-US licensed services since spring of 2023. Like it says, in 2024, we will see stablecoins from non-G7 currencies take off, creating a new entry point and gateway to crypto. That is so darn bullish to hear that. Providing exposure to currencies for consumers and allowing them to pay people and move money in real time. Very cool. Very, very cool. And if anything, to see this published straight from Ripple, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. This guy, Slick Rick, USD stablecoins lose their crown as global players take over. But if anything, it's pairings. I always say this numerous times. Pairings, create more volume, right? Pairing of USDC, for instance, with Ripple, or Tether with USDT with Ripple. Pairings always create that much more volume. But if you have an instance where instead of having your traditional pairings of, your circles, your tethers, and you have your Ripple XRP or your Stellar XLM recognized by the World Bank as global stable coins, what will that create for the future? Can you imagine, instead of just seeing constantly on your exchanges, USDT / BTC, or, USDC / Ethereum, or whatever the case be. Now you see the likes of Ripple consistently being part of that mix. So when we talk about like utility in motion, we talk about mass volume. Do you not understand how significant that could be? Because you might not be the person that's like totally gung-ho about the whole thing of, like, oh, I don't understand the whole big picture of cross-border payments. But can you understand the bigger picture when it comes to just simply cryptocurrency in itself and pairings? I think you can have an idea. Anyway, thought we'd share this with you guys. And in conclusion, I want to give you guys my own key takeaway, because why not, right? So on this channel, Maximus Crypto, and even before that, for going on 2 years now, we've been talking about the whole thing of these boom cycles. The first part of the live show tonight, we talked about, for instance, the Bitcoin spot ETFs. We talked about this whole concept of simply that boom cycles. But what about a utility boom that is going to be so significant for 2024 compared to previous boom cycles, right? Well, keep in mind this. What's so significant about this particular one compared to the previous ones? If you've been around for previous ones, you know, for some of you guys, this is your first bull run, bull market. For me, this will be my second. But the potential significance of a utility boom crypto, or excuse me, my bad writing on here, sorry. The significance for utility boom for crypto in 2024 compared to previous cycles is multifaceted and hinges on several key factors. And basically speaking, there's a few key ones I want to get into, about roughly 4 or 5. So listen to this for a second. This is really crucial to understand. It shifts the focus. So for one, you know, again, shout out to Edward Vincent, because I remember he was a guest on the show when we were doing the boom cycle thing. Previous crypto booms were often driven by speculation. Some of you guys feel as though it's still speculation, especially when it comes to Ripple, XRP. But the previous ones were in fact driven by speculation and hype, lots of hype. Some people feel as though there's still lots of hype when it comes to XRP as we speak. But it surrounded the underlying tech for future potential. Some of you guys feel as though we're already at the future and there's not a lot of potential. Hear me out. There is a lot of potential. You got to keep in mind, previously this led to bubbles and crashes. Valuations became detached from real world use cases. But in 2024 itself, there seems to be a growing emphasis on utility. And if anything, you've even seen it. We just showed you from the Ripple page about what, guys? About a utility boom. And just in case you missed it, you just tuned in, I'll share it with you again. This part right here, it says utility boom in 2024. Again, utility run, utility boom, boom cycles. The point I'm trying to make here is this. When in 2024, excuse me, the growing emphasis on utility, investors seeking projects that offer tangible solutions to real world problems. Not just a few, many. There's a lot of real world problems, right? It's going to lead to significant growth, adoption, so on. And of course, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, DeFi, NFTs, the JASMY segment, we talked about that. But my thing for you guys is this. When we talk about ETFs, you know that there is a lot of institutional interest, like beyond measure. Traditional financial institutions, for one, are increasingly exploring the potential of cryptocurrencies and specifically blockchain tech. Like you have no idea, like, you know, flies on, if you will. A utility boom could attract further investment from these institutions. Yes, very, very true. At the same time, with these Bitcoin spot ETFs popping off left and right, and it just even having a handful be approved maybe this week, or maybe the final deadline in March, where the case be, sounds very bullish, that brings in a lot to this case of a boom cycle. But what about a utility boom cycle? Hear me out. So for one, the launch of the Bitcoin ETF, even just one in the United States, suggests a potential shift towards clear regulations. Very true, because at the end of the day, like we were talking about before on the beginning of the outline or the beginning of the show, allowing financial institutions that provide investment opportunities, you know, for diversification of people's portfolios and so on, the option of crypto investments instead of your traditional, you know, mutual funds and things like that is game changer, because that means flip of the switch to a sense, mass adoption for people that don't even know what crypto is about. This could provide greater confidence, of course, for investors, very true, and businesses to embrace utility-driven crypto projects instead of just like meme coins. Because at the end of the day, can you imagine being a financial investor or, a broker, and even just a regular banker, if you will, at a retail Wells Fargo, and trying to explain to somebody, hey, your mutual funds, they're doing all right, up 15% or whatever for, the last couple of years. But, hey, I guess what, I'm going to have you invest in a puppy dog token. What? Like, I'd be firing that guy. I mean, especially if I was an older gentleman and so on. And even if I wasn't older, this sounds bogus, right? But the bottom line is this. The crypto space itself is constantly evolving. We know this. New projects, applications are emerging all the time. We've seen it. The competition breeds innovation. Developers strive to create the most useful, valuable products. Very true. A utility boom itself could further accelerate this process, and it's going to lead to the development of innovation for impactful use cases for the exclusive tech from blockchain and DLT. Now, in regards to this whole thing in 2024, it's crucial to approach any investment, as we know, with caution through our research, hence why these shows are called DYOR with Max. In reality, it's do your own research with our community, right? But I want you guys to consider these three things, and that is the success of a utility boom will depend on the actual adoption and use case, of course, of all these applications that we mentioned, such as building bases or user bases, I should say, generating real-world economic activity. Obviously, regulatory clarity is an absolute must, right? We've been talking about that for probably a couple of years now. But regulatory clarity is going to attract, of course, institutional investment and mainstream adoption. These ETFs are going to be coming here soon. Once they go live, does that mean there's the start of clarity? Some people say no. Some people say no, it's not until you see the actual laws being passed into place. For me personally, if you see a few ETFs popping off, being approved, then it simply makes sense that why wouldn't, our legislators want to get on board with some of this stuff? Teach is on though, right? Overall, this utility boom for 2024, because let's face it, a lot of us are focused on 2024. A lot of us are also exploring the whole thing of 2025. But it's going to represent a significant shift, I should say. Some people call it the new monetary system, the new monetary shift for the crypto market, paving the way for, of course, substantial growth of real-world adoption. But all, the time, we should still recognize this one key thing, and that is we should all be considering a careful outlook of all the underlying factors, potential risks with some of this stuff. And my key thing is this: don't just hop on board into anything and everything that seems like it has utility in it. I am going to go with some of the proven ones that have been working hard throughout all these many years, your Ripples, XRPs, your Stellars, and so on, because they have already paved the path forward to get to this next big point that we're all hoping for of the widespread adoption. But it does mean proper regulations. The days of the crypto Wild West, I think, are coming to an end. And right now, as we speak, I think after the ETF approvals, I think we will go from accumulation phase to full-fledged markup. But I still believe if you pay attention to your watch list, right, you'll still see some certain ones that haven't popped off yet. And if anything, those will be the last remnants of your accumulation phase, if you will. There's still be, still opportunities, don't get me wrong, but I think honestly the time is going to be running out sooner than most people think. I think between the next few weeks to the end of this year, you're going to see some significant differences in the overall price and market cap when it comes to most of this stuff, for good or bad, right? But for the blue chips, for the ones typed at like ISO 222 and so on, I think more for the good.